going live soon. I just need to get some socks. My feet are freezing. I got dying feet. Fall off my legs. What is going on here? Shit. Are we good to go? Clear my throat out. Where are we? Where are we? Alright. Oh. Oh, bro. It's not working. Oh! Alright, we're good. Good afternoon and welcome to the Enemy Stream. My name is Andrew Benison and we're going to be covering all the latest gaming news, happenings, and events happening across the internet right now, and a little bit on the enemy team front, give you an update on what we're doing here. But first I just want to say apologies for the delay in content. I've not been feeling good for a week or two. I've been up and down mood-wise, really just like burnt out, just fucking burnt out, right? So this bank holiday weekend we had a nice 4-day break where I just took full advantage of that. I haven't been near the computer, just been out like painting fences, mowing lawns, digging up weeds, all that kind of stuff. And I do just want to say from the outset, like, very important, like, the way that we live as, like, a society, and especially if you're involved in, like, games or any kind of, you know, pretty much everybody works at a computer, it's like, you're not meant to be sat hunched over a giant glowing screen for, like, 8 to 12 hours a day. Like, it's just not natural. And if you're in a position like we are at Enemy Team, where it's like, you got to be entrepreneurial, you got to get out there into the world, or not get out there into the world, but actually like sit at a desk and like pound out endless amounts of work, content, games development stuff, whatever, in order to succeed. It's easy to get stuck in that feedback loop of like every second you're away from the PC, every second you're not hammering at this, you're not being productive, you're not moving your goals forwards. And it's like, but that's diminishing returns, right? Like if you just mash yourself into a keyboard endlessly, if you don't give your body the time and space it needs to like stretch and be reinvigorated, if you don't spend time doing like other things that energize you, like it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. So like I burned out hardcore, but a couple of days break has really helped. And so I really do recommend, like if you're feeling that way, it is a marathon, not a sprint. Like you can't be going at 1,000,000 miles per hour like every second. You cannot just be constantly throwing yourself at your work while you're beaming lights burning your eyeballs and shit. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So that's my PSA for the day. Like, hey, be healthy. What a surprise. Like, maybe it's a trite point, but I do think it's important that we say that from time to time, you know what I mean? But on the point of the enemy stream, let's get into things. So we're going to be covering or rounding up the PlayStation Showcase that we did a live reaction to last week, and that video will be going up at some point in the next day. Hopefully today, it depends how long it takes to upload. So I'll be talking a little bit about thoughts on that. You know, spoilers, like, wasn't very exciting. Really like a 3 out of 10. I think at the time I said 4 out of 10. I've downgraded. It was a 3 out of 10 event. Sorry, like, it just wasn't that interesting. Nothing happened that made me go, woo. And anything that did make me go, woo, like Marathon, immediately upon looking at it in more detail, you go, oh, okay, you know, extraction shooter, wow, like another one of those, cool. So, It's the new Battle Royale. Sweet. Everyone's just going to be copying everybody else. Awesome. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I also want to talk about Antimatter Games being closed. Hey, surprise, surprise. It's almost like every week we cover a holding company shutting down one of their subsidiaries who recently got fully acquired and come out the gate saying, hey, now that we've been acquired, we have full creative freedom and all the funding in the world, and it's great. And we've even got a gym, and we've got a pantry that's always stocked with food, and then a year later they get shut down and everyone gets fired. So it's like a time loop. Every single week, another games development company going in the right direction, proven track record, doing awesome stuff, dead. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I also want to cover a really serious point. This is very important. Female gamers are getting abused online. Like, people are swearing at them. People are saying mean things. They're teabagging them in Halo and stuff. And it's just like, we gotta stop, guys. We gotta stop abusing women online. Because apparently there's a suicide epidemic amongst female gamers. And it's making things difficult for those who have things like OnlyFans and stuff. Like, they want to, like, whore themselves out, they want to get the simps in, and they want it to all be positive and making loads of money, and that's great, but they don't want anybody to criticize them, and they don't want anybody to insult them in an online video game situation. So we're going to cover that. There's a lot to dive into there, but we've got to get this sorted. We've got to help out women, because it's just not right, okay? Good. I'm glad we're on board with that. We're on the same wavelength. Cool. And then we'll talk about the Golem L, which, you know, everybody knows about at this point. What a disaster. It's hilarious that they've had to put out, like, an apology. Have you ever heard of a games company putting out a game and then, like, day in, like, same day, also releasing an apology with that? I'm pretty sure with things like Cyberpunk, you know, when that got pulled off the PlayStation Store, they at least gave it a few days before they pulled it off the store and then came out and said, hey, you know, whoopsie-doodle, thanks for all the money, but we fucked it. I mean, these guys literally, like, the second that they had, it was timed. It was like the second the dude hit enter or, like, pressed go release on Steam, there was another dude with the tweet ready to release the press release going like, oops, we fucked up, but hey, patch is coming. Another thing that every week we talk about. Every week. It's truly like we're stuck in a time loop. It's Groundhog Day. Every week there's a game that comes out. There's the apology. There's the, hey, patches are coming. Fixes are coming. It's maddening, quite frankly. But that's why we're here. We're here to cover the madness. So we'll be getting into that very, very shortly. Just want to remind you that the Enemy stream is live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, except when I have a fucking mental health crisis. But those are few and far between. We're trying to reduce those. They don't happen that often. But other than when I have a mental health crisis, we're on every 3 p.m. BST, 10 a.m. EST. And make sure to follow and subscribe on our Twitch, YouTube, whatever platform you prefer watching through. And if you want to watch full episodes, clips, along with games development on the Enemy team front, everything that we're doing in Horde, Gun Day, etc., that's all on our YouTube, that's all on our TikTok. Just look up Enemy Team Games. You're going to find us there. And we'd really appreciate your support. We'd really appreciate a follow. We'd like a comment, you know. Any kind of interaction is good. If you want to give us money, that's even better. We love that. We absolutely love that. We got a Patreon set up. And if you want to chat to us, we have a Discord as well. Not very active at the moment. It was much more active previously when it was owned by another company that I used to run. That's kind of died down a bit, but we'd love to get some people back in there talking. Maybe we can talk about mental health crises and the importance of painting fences to stop yourself going mad looking at screens. That would be a good thing to maybe jump into the Discord. If that's a topic that you like, jump into the Discord right now. Links in the bio, links in the description. You can find all of our various portals via our link tree, so hit it up down there. But I think we'll jump into things finally. So let's get started with, we'll use this article as a sort of just reference point for the PlayStation Showcase. So this is all the big announcements. I mean, like I said, I think, honestly, 3 out of 10, maybe 2 out of 10. It wasn't a very engaging event. I think this format, first and foremost, this direct format that everyone has adopted, which I've railed against many times because, hey, it's boring, it's corporate, it's safe, nothing exciting happens in them. It feels like just one long advertisement, which of course these things are. They're advertising products and services to you. But at least in the past, it was fun, it was fluid, it was dynamic. Things could go wrong, which is funny and entertaining and like human. You see like the human side of people and the human side of games comes out. We don't really get that anymore because it's just a series of trailers, a series of guys reading from a teleprompter, and it's just, like, it's soulless. It's completely soulless. But also, on top of that, just the games on offer, what we're being shown was just not that interesting. It was a lot of things that we've seen before, or sequels, or whatever. And, you know, they even dropped like a whole new piece of hardware in there, which is essentially just, you know, a PSP tethered to your PlayStation, you know, aping on the Switch. And it's just sort of like, yeah, okay, cool. You know, I think that's what everyone's reaction is just like, we acknowledge that you have created a device. Okay. But nobody's going to be rushing out to grab that shit. But we'll use this article as a launching point. So what did we see? Fair Games, there was no gameplay. CGI reveal trailer, they even call. That's amazing. Nothing to say. Like, the game launches soon, but they didn't show us any gameplay. As Jack said on the stream, like, you can infer what the game is from what they show you, but who knows what it's like. Helldivers 2, interesting that they've pivoted to a third person, first person. You know, they've gone away from the top-down look. Hey, could be good, but we didn't see much of it. We've covered Immortum before. This was alright. Phantom Blade, more kind of Dark Souls-y kind of stuff. Sword of the Sea. Now, this was cool. I'll just play this real quick. I'll turn the volume off. This looked kind of interesting. It was from the developers behind Abzu, which was boring but nice, and Journey, which I've not played but looks alright. Michael rated it. But yeah, so skateboarding, snowboarding, surfboarding through deserts and stuff. Like, yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. That's nice. Woohoo! So we liked that. Sequels, cool. I don't even remember what that was. Cat Quest is based. Very excited for Cat Quest. I find it pretty funny that they put a mobile phone game in their PlayStation showcase. There must gotta be some behind the scenes like blackmailing. Like, if you don't put my fucking mobile game into the PlayStation showcase, I release the Epstein files. And they're like, no. Alright, we'll put Cat Quest up. It's not gonna make any fucking sense if we put something that's like a free-to-play Google Play title onto PlayStation, just doing that, but also putting it in our showcase. But, you know, we don't want the Epstein files leaking, so let's do it. Foam Stars, I mean, just Splatoon, but with, like, what is it, safe, horny designs. Just boring. So it's just, yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm getting bored and tired just looking at this stuff, just scrolling through. It's even worse just looking at the fucking thumbnails. Yeah, the PlayStation VR stuff. I said before this event's going to be very important for PlayStation VR 2, because, hey, they're saying, we haven't done 300,000 units, we've done 600,000 units. Big whoop, okay, great, it's doing better than we expected, and apparently it's doing better than the PlayStation VR 1. Awesome. That's good for us, because we're making, like, the best VR shooter ever. We want platforms to put it on. But that platforms need content, right? And so when we got to the PSVR 2 section, we get Arizona Sunshine 2. Again, I'll just put the volume off. Slow-moving zombies, looks kind of nice, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. I can't see anybody rushing out and buying a PlayStation VR 2 headset for this. And there was also, yeah, Crossfire, Synapse, which we've already seen, and hey, an announcement that Beat Saber's coming. And it's not just that Beat Saber's coming. If you already owned it for PSVR 1, you get a free upgrade, and it comes with some Queen music. And that was it. And it's like, really? That's all we get? Now, apparently, there's another PlayStation showcase coming later in the year, so maybe we get more VR content there. But really, the fact that the section of this showcase was just sort of like, oh, and by the way, here's some VR stuff on the side. Not every single PS5 gamer needs to go out and buy a headset. It's worth the extra 500 quid because boom, boom, boom. No, it was like, oh yeah, we still have Beat Saber. And remember that zombie game? There's a sequel to it, and it's basically the same. Not good. I think categorical, like, fail. Massive L, not positive. Nobody during the stream, like, looking at the chat, nobody through, like, articles and stuff afterwards. I mean, just look at how this is described. You know, next up, an array of games were revealed. You know, Resi 4 VR, which we know is coming. Gun Focus VR, blah. It's just, there's no energy. What do I keep saying? Momentum. In order for a platform, in order for a new product or a new distribution platform, a new console to work, you need a certain level of momentum, which first comes from, hey, the initial offering is great, therefore loads of gamers jump in and buy that thing. that then gives the confidence and the green light for publishers and developers throughout the rest of the industry to go, okay, this thing has now got a lower risk profile. We're going to jump on board. You know, we saw this with the Switch and with the Wii back in the day, like two iconic platforms that running up to launch, a lot of people were apprehensive about engaging with those platforms and making anything for them because they're weird. They were fucking weird. The Wii was absolutely bizarre. And the Switch, to a lot of people, after the Wii U, they went, well, isn't that just the Wii U again, but without the console? So it's like a worse Wii U. That's what a lot of people in the industry were saying. So you need that initial offering to build that momentum to get everybody else on board. And then that becomes a cyclical process, right? The more developers, more publishers heap on content onto your platform, the better the offering is for gamers. So your initial gamers who went and bought that platform, they're happy, they're going to keep buying. But then that also gives the green light to people who are maybe more on the fence. Someone who doesn't want to buy a Switch day one, but after 12 months of games being released, they go, okay, it's a steal, it's a bargain. I'll jump on board. This is what VR has never been able to accomplish. It's never been able to hit any of those momentum gates to any significant degree, in my opinion. That's going to take it from being a niche medium to being an absolute part, like half or more, or something completely separate in essence to the rest of the video gaming world. In the same way that mobile gaming stands separate to console gaming, VR gaming stands separate as well, right? Do you get me? But it's no way near comparative in terms of size. It's absolutely, it's tiny, it's puny. And it doesn't really look like it's growing in any significant means. And my view on this running up to the showcase was like, hey, this has to do very well. This has to add some momentum into the mix because as far as I can tell, we're not getting that from Meta, and we're not really getting it from any other source. There's no other major players that both develop hardware and content and fun content that are pushing things forwards. PlayStation VR 2 could be the home of VR. That could be, PlayStation could be the home of VR in total if they seized the market. But we're just not getting that. So I was very disappointed with this showing. And it makes me fucking anxious for the stuff that we're doing, for any VR dev right now, and including ourselves. Because it's like, where's the future? Where's the momentum? Is this a niche market that we're selling to that's going to be just shrinking over the next few years? Is it a market that's just going to be sort of stable? Okay, there's enough people there to make some money out of them, but I'm kind of suspicious of that, honestly. Looking at a lot of the success stories in VR, I think the majority of them haven't actually made all that much money. And that you see so many developers getting acquired by the likes of Meta, including the Beat Saber devs, and it's like, I wonder why they went for that choice. Is it because they got a big fat paycheck that was more appealing than dwindling sales? And then on the other side of it, I know a lot of VR games have been funded by the likes of Meta, and have they ever turned a profit? No, but they look nice and fancy and act as an offering, as a reason for gamers to jump on board that platform, but the games themselves haven't actually made any money. That's being offset by Meta having Facebook and advertising revenue. What do we keep hearing? That the Horizon Labs is losing billions like every quarter. Like every month they lose like $1 billion. And it's like, right, I wonder if a part of that billion being lost is all of these games that they're funding and developing, which actually don't make any money, but create the illusion. It's like a Potemkin village. They're creating the illusion that their VR platform is working and that the VR medium is growing and that there are plenty of developers active in the scene. And it's like, no, not really. Not actually. So it was disappointing. And as I said, Marathon, I think, was the only point in the stream where we all went, ooh! And then we went on the Bungie website, we went and looked into what it is, and it's an extraction shooter. It's nothing to do with what the original Marathon was. And honestly, it's just like, immediately, it's like, oh look, jumping on the bandwagon. Oh look, Sony-owned studio going for the live service approach, and as they've said, they want to get out 10 live service games by 2026. No doubt, this extraction shooter is going to be one of them. So immediately I'm not interested, because it's like, right, I'm going to be paying all these fancy visuals. All these fancy graphics are nice, but I know that if I want to have the cool purple helmet, hey, I'm going to be paying Credos for it. Awesome. If I want that gun, I'm going to probably have to pay for it. that sucks. So immediately I'm just not interested because instead of Bungie doing what they've done in the past, I guess now decades at this point ago, innovating and doing things differently, now they're just copying what everybody else is doing. Hey, battle royales are a thing of the past. Now it's all about extraction shooters, so we're going to do extraction shooters. What I would hope from Bungie is like, hey, they do something new and different that blows us all away. And no doubt the visuals are nice. The way that they're presenting it looks nice, although again, it all looks pre-rendered. We've not seen any gameplay. But it's just disappointing. It's disappointing, and I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of other people, just looking at the comments, looking at the chat, are a lot of 3 out of 10s. So, you know, they announced, look at this thing. Look at this thing. Accessory sneak peek. You know, they announced a Switch add-on, and it's not made a, I haven't seen a blip. No one cares. So there's something wider going on in the gaming world. There's something happening where there's just a sort of, the industry as a whole, as a entity, as a machine, wants a status quo that is accepting of just mediocrity. And I kind of feel like, looking at the reactions of this stuff, that's where we're at. Like, people will acknowledge, like, hey, that was a 3 out of 10 show, that was kind of boring, some of it was okay, whatever. But we're all sort of settling into the reality that we're not going to boot up one of these live streams, we're not going to boot up one of these shows and get blown away. We're going to go, and go, oh, there's Solid Snake, oh, and it's a remake of a game that we played 20 years ago. Oh, there's Marathon, and it's a copy-paste of things we've played elsewhere. We're sort of settling into it. There's a sort of like mass, not psychosis, but sort of just a mass defeat, demoralization on a medium-wide scale. Just everybody just accepting the fact that things are just boring and suck. I refuse to accept that. I think the way that you change that and fix it is by stepping up and doing things which nobody else is willing to do, and saying things nobody else is willing to do. So I do view this, the white pill for me at least, as like, this is a great opportunity for us to innovate and do interesting things, because we can steal away from the competition, we can steal their audiences, and we can make products that just blow the shit out of anything that they can provide. So I see it as a white pill, but, you know, the gamer in me is disappointed, and it's just sad to see that this is the state of affairs. So I think we'll move on. We'll move on. Let's get on to the next thing. A bing bang boo. Look at this. This is sad. Rising Storm studio Antimatter Games is being closed. Parent company EG7 is looking to cut expenses and achieve higher predictability and profitability. So Enad Global 7, formerly Toadman Games, bizarre naming structure. They're a parent company. Again, we talk about them a lot. Every single episode, it seems, we're talking about a parent company fucking over one of their subsidiaries. Said that the decision to shutter the studio was made after exploring various strategic options and will likely take place this summer. Now, I actually could jump over real quick into the press release on their website. So, yeah. They've decided the board of EG7 initiated the process to close down Antimatter Game Studio after exploring various options. A formal process has been started that includes employee consultation to seek mitigating measures and agreement around the process with UK-based employees. The closure is likely to take place during the summer, which sucks. And I love this part. Expects one-time non-recurring costs in the range of 15 to 25 million SEK for the studio closure on a pro forma basis, excluding the impacts from one-time costs. The studio closure is expected to reduce the group's annual operating expenses by approximately 50 million and result in an increase in pre-tax profits by the same amount, and also improving the operating cash flows. Yes, money, 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 more money. The impact on the balance sheet is expected to be minimal, with the intangible asset write-down for IGI, which I believe was one of the games in development, already taken in Q4 2022. The process commenced this week, and it's expected to complete in Q3. A bing, a bang, a boom, all very nice. And so you've got to wonder, was it all worth it, guys? Because I went back a few years, went back and found this article on Cornwall Live. Because they're based in Cornwall. Were based in Cornwall. Cornwall's largest gaming studio, Antimatter Games, has been sold, and they're going to double their staff. Let's see here. The sale of Cornwall's biggest gaming studio is to bring in a £30 million bonanza to the county. They've been acquired by, Swedish studio Toadman Interactive, which is what their previous name was. And that this buyout is going to further investment in the already buoyant gaming sector in Cornwall. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Uh, yeah, being owned by Toadman Interactive means we can build games based on our own IP with full artistic control, and that's a vital step on our way to becoming a world-renowned studio. They came to prominence amongst gamers with Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. So if we just hop over to their website real quick, I mean, these guys have been involved. Antimatter Games has been involved in a bunch of great products. They were the driving force behind Rising Storm, which was an expansion to the awesome Red Orchestra 2, chronically underrated game. And then they moved on to Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. And that what they've been recently working on is a game called 83 and IGI Origins, which I believe is a reimagining of a game from a while ago called IGI. Not totally clued up on that. Yeah, prequel to 2000s Project IGI. So these guys have been involved, like, great track record. It's why they were acquired. They've gone from a very small studio to a much larger studio, constantly knocking out the park. Rising Storm was not the biggest FPS ever, but it was a high-quality product that the community liked, and it sold. It did extremely well, considering it came out in a time period which was still in, honestly, of like just absolute blockbuster AAA FPSs coming out at such an incredible rate. The fact that this studio was able to do a relatively niche, kind of semi-realistic Vietnam shooter and make that work and compete against this market is just like an absolute, like, you know, 07's like, salute you. Fucking amazing work. That's why they were acquired. And so you look, this article on Cornwall Live is from 2019. Yeah, so end of 2019. It's going great. Hey, we're going to become world renowned. Track record of delivering exactly this kind of success. As I said, this guy worked previously at Blizzard, did an amazing job there, amazing job with this business. And, you know, they position themselves in Cornwall because it's a nice place. What did I say at the start of the stream? Hey, it's kind of prophetic. What did I say? It's not natural and normal to be hunched over a computer. It's not normal to be in a city full of concrete, commuting for hours at a time. So these guys were smart, right? They did all the right steps, right? This is what I was told when I ran my previous business is you got to position yourself correctly. Yes, sir. No, sir. How high do I jump, sir? Consistently put out great content, make all the sacrifices, get yourself to a position where you're getting funded or ideally acquired, and then you've made it, right? That's what you're meant to do. That's what these guys did. And if we just scroll down, you know, the investment now means that Antimatter Games are seeking bigger premises, big enough to accommodate its own gym, so they're in the right place, they're making their own games, they have creative control over what they're doing, they even have a gym, for God's sake. Like, this is the dream, right? Well, fast forward, what, 4 years odd, and they're getting shuttered because their holding company wants to increase profits. And you could do that perhaps by releasing these games, by getting 83 out the door, by getting IGI out the door, you know, which honestly at face value look like kind of niche, weird titles, but like, hey, that's what this studio's kind of known for doing. Whether it's working on Rising Storm or working on Killing Floor, it's like, yeah, these are not the biggest games in the world. Not everyone's going to know them, but they make bank, they make money, and they have very, very dedicated, like, they've got a very tight nucleus of a community around them. Like, people you can be guaranteed to go out and buy that game and buy the expansions and then buy sequels. That's what you bought. Well, to a holding company, that none of these things matter. What matters at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is cash flow and is profit. And so when looking at it's just path of least resistance for these guys. Like, I'm moving fucking mountains and doing everything I can alongside Jack and Michael to make games which will become products that we will sell. We want to, because we want to make money, right? But we also want to make games. And so the path of least resistance for Jack, Michael, or I making money, the path of least resistance, honestly, is not doing any of this. It's like, fuck this. Like, let's just go get a job at one of these studios. Like, I could do publisher liaison work. I could be one of these dickheads going around to places like Develop, going, hey, pitch your game to me. And Jack's an amazing designer, and Michael's an amazing designer. So we could just go get jobs and just make money and do consultancy work or whatever. We actually have a passion. Like, we actually want to make games. And so we will take the path least traveled. We will take hard decisions in order to make our dreams come true. To a holding company, none of that matters. They just want to make money. And so when faced with the decision, do we continue investing in these guys and these weird games like 83 and ISI, and maybe they turn a profit? Or if we just shut them down and fire everybody, we immediately turn a profit and we retain all those assets. I mean, remember that they own them. So everything that's been worked on up till that point, they have. Those IPs they have. And those might have value in the future. They might not have value. But either way, by doing that, as they said, immediately it increases their profits because they have less outgoings. So was it worth it? It doesn't make sense to create a game studio and to build up your catalog of IPs and to hire people and to put everyone's lives on the line to make their dreams come true. And then when someone comes along and offers you loads of money and says, what was it? Well, that we're going to enable you to be able to do whatever you want. Your dreams will come true. We'll give you the resources. We'll let you have creative control. I've had that said to me so many times where it's like, hey, don't worry, you keep the IP and you have creative control. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you really don't. And those were publishing deals. In this instance, it's like, no, you really don't, because they own you. They can crush you whenever you want. So you've lost, I don't know if this chap, Rich Barham, was being naive or if he was just playing the game, but saying after being acquired by a holding company, saying that you have creative control, you have no control. In fact, I would argue, and to an extent you have this with publishers as well, you have less rights than an employee. Like, employees have many rights, at least in the UK and most of the Western developed world. You have rights that protect you from just like instantly getting fired or getting your shit kicked in. So less so when you have a publishing deal, less so when you're under the thumb of a holding company. So it's tragic, but it's another one bites the dust. And, take a look at who EG7 is. Take a look at how they present themselves, just real quick. When somebody comes knocking on your door and wants to work with you, and they present themselves based on reports and saying things like multiple companies, countless IPs. I love this, which page was it? Yeah, let me just refresh this. Oh, whoa, I've disappeared. There we go, I'm back. Take a look at this. This is what they value. Numbers going up, companies going up, employees going up, although that figure's wrong. That counter should be going down right now. Titles, we have 1,500 titles, 7 operative groups, and we continue to grow. None of it is to do with the actual products themselves. None of it is to do with the talent. None of it is to do with the quality of the game. It is just about all making money. Maybe this comes across as obvious or a trite point. I don't care, because this is what's infecting the entire industry, and everybody in games is being essentially like bullied or psychologically like mind fucked into thinking that you have to go down this path if you want to be a serious operator in games. As he said, if you want to become a world-renowned studio, you have to do this. Well, you're not a world-renowned studio anymore because you're dead. Yeah, you got a gym, you got a lovely location, and now you're gone. So we didn't get 1,000 years of antimatter domination. Antimatter has been annihilated. They're gone. And all of those guys just scattered to the wind. It's tragic. And you got to think, like, had they taken a different path and remained independent, or sought funding through maybe other means, maybe this wouldn't have happened. So, we've been in this situation before. It's one of the reasons why we have Enemy Team. And I feel like I know this is not the last time we're going to cover a story like this. This is going to keep happening again and again and again. And every time it happens, people will exit the industry. The people going through this experience, some of them will go, fuck this. This is horrible. I'm out. Because I thought our dreams were coming true when we got acquired, and instead we've all been let go. And all you have to do is look out into the industry and see that happening at dozens of other studios and go, right, everything's fucked. Everything's FUBAR. So that process happens, so we lose great developers. Pieces of shit, parasitical, spreadsheet money-obsessed cunts acquire everything. They get the games, they get the revenue streams, and they hold on to it, and they now have that forever. Obviously, if that keeps going on and on and on, there will be less independent developers. There will be larger and larger and a smaller number of these conglomerate holding companies that will hold all the cards, they'll hold all the IPs, they'll be able to harness all the talent, and they'll be able to do whatever they want with all of them. Does that sound like a good future for gaming? Does that sound like any of these people are putting gamers first? Absolutely not. Well, the consequence of that will be, as I said on my PlayStation Showcase rant, uh, mediocrity will reign supreme. Things won't be amazing. Things probably won't be absolutely terrible. Everything will just be bland and in the middle, and you'll have occasional blips where something's great, something's interesting, but it'll be a happy accident. Like a Rising Storm 2. Oh wow, what an amazing little title. This is great. Oh, well, a few years later we just shit-canned all of them because we wanted to make a little bit more money, and we didn't want to run any risk. Does that sound like a good future of gaming to you? No. Now, is it inevitable? Probably. At this stage, probably. I don't think this is a process that we can avoid. This is going to keep happening. I'm looking to the future, though. I don't want to get bogged down in the past, going, oh, well, the golden age was great. It wasn't like this. Rose-tinted glasses, etc. Past is the past. And I don't want to get too bogged down, even though obviously we talk about this pretty much every episode. I don't want to get too bogged down in the negative of, like, today things suck. It's like, yes, today the forest is on fire. Absolutely. But tomorrow, when the fires die out, because this cannot continue forever, there will be room for growth. And that's what I've been thinking from day one with Enemy Team. And I want to start to inspire in some way or encourage others to start thinking in the same manner. It's like, don't engage with this stuff. Like, the wheels are in motion with this, with the machine of the industry, with the platformification of gaming, with the sucking out of all passions, all energy, and all money from our world, from our medium. That is happening. They are leaving massive cracks and divides in the space of gaming that we can fill in and that other people can fill in. And I honestly think if you're thinking about getting into games, think for a second about if you're talented, if you're passionate, if you're driven, and you do actually want to make stuff that is incredible, that pushes boundaries forwards, you might get a shot at doing that as being part of the EG7 holding company empire. You might get a chance to do that at EA or Bungie or whoever, but you're probably not. And even if you do, it will be short-lived because you're going to get subsumed, fired, whatever. You'll become another body in the mortar, another body in the foundations. So I really do want to say, like, this stuff's happening. If you want to be a part of this world, go for it. I'm not saying don't. If you want to be part of this highly corporatized world of gaming, go for broke. There is a lot of money to be made. You'll have to sell out all of your values and just be like a soulless, like, cacodemon floating from opportunity to opportunity, just shitting and pissing everywhere, and just being essentially non-human, like an automaton. You'll make a lot of money. I don't think you'll feel particularly good about it. And you won't feel fulfilled about it when you look back at your life. A lot of the people that I know in the industry who are hitting their 40s and 50s are not particularly proud or happy, really, when you get down to it. Like, they're not glowing about the lives that they've lived. And there's tons of people that, as I've said on multiple shows, there's tons of people I know who are sort of just dropping out of the industry and just going, fuck this. Like, there's no future here. There's no positive momentum. And it's like, yes, in the system, agreed. But outside of it, we still have access to all the same technology. We can use Unreal and Blender and Streamlabs to communicate and all these things, Discord to build communities. All the pieces are there for us to be able to do things in parallel. And that is what I really want to encourage people to think about, is whether you're in gaming right now or thinking about getting into gaming, think about how you could do things differently. Think like an enemy team. Embrace the enemy mindset. Oh god, are we gonna start doing that? Like Dramagineer shit. What was the who were the guys that we were talking about last week? It was like Devolution, Distilled Studios, Disrupt. Yeah, it was like Disruption Studios, and they call their staff Disruptors. Oh, I hate that shit. But hey, adopt that enemy mindset. Think about how you can be a guerrilla fighter in the games industry world and start making a change. So, white pills. Let's move on. Let's hit the next story. Was there anything else we can harvest from this? Oh yeah, that was one thing. This is just kind of, it's kicking them while they're down. But this is just kind of funny. If you go on Antimatter Games Twitter, their last pinned tweet from January of this year was, "We're sorry to hear about the games industry layoffs going on. We are currently hiring across a number of roles and would love to hear from you if any of these are of interest." And you can apply at antimattergames.jobs, which is 404 now for obvious reasons. Not aged well, but it shows you how quickly this stuff can spin around. you know, January 19th, as far as I can tell, the people at this business are going, hey, we're doing good. It's sad to see everybody else suffering in the industry. We'll go out and hire them. Let's get some people on board. Hey. And they're hiring, what, there's 10, 15 roles. Programmers at all levels, producers, VFX artists. Gone 2 months later, 4 months later. Hey, we need to make more money. How do we do that? It's really difficult making games and releasing them. That takes like loads of energy and money, and like we might lose money in that process. There might be risk involved. Fuck it, let's just lay them all off. Let's just fire everybody. Let's just stop making stuff so that we spend less money. Cool, great. Remind me again why I should go down the investment route. Remind me again why I should work with publishers or do first party deals, because it's the same with all of these situations. So yeah, kicking them while I'm down. I just thought, hey, that's kind of funny. It's sad, but oof. You do a deal with the devil, you get your ass burnt off. What can I say? But let's move on. Let's hit up, yes. Women. Women are in trouble, guys. Pay attention. This is bad shit. 1 in 10 female gamers feel suicidal about the abuse they receive playing online. We can't keep watching these numbers keep happening. It's not right. An investigation into women's experiences of gaming online has revealed that 1 in 10 has felt suicidal as a result of online abuse. Well, hey, you know, fucking hell. Welcome to online gaming. I mean, like, hey, when I'm carrying a team in Left 4 Dead Versus or Natural Selection or Halo, I spend like 30 minutes, an hour straight trying to carry the team, and we lose, and people tell me that I suck. It's like, yeah, do I want to kill myself in the moment? Yeah, of course. Like, that's a natural part of online gaming. Like, hey, women, you wanted in the club. Welcome to the club. Sometimes you get really fucking angry. Sometimes you want to kill yourself. Sometimes you want to kill other people while playing games. That's a natural. That's part of the fun. Embrace it. We're not having any problems with it. I guarantee you. I guarantee you they're not going to cover the stat here, because we have to fucking fawn and trip over women constantly. But it's like, okay, 1 in 10 have felt suicidal as a result of online abuse in gaming for women. What do you think that number is for men? It's got to be like 9.9 out of 10 out of 10. All of us. Who's not felt that way at some point? Who's not felt extreme emotions while playing gaming? Who's not felt like the harsh sting of losing and being shit on? Or, you know, whatever, like, you know, missing the shot and everyone votes to kick you and you get booted out of the game because you fucking threw the molly in the wrong place or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's sometimes it's great, sometimes it sucks, sometimes you rage, sometimes you break a controller or whatever. It's just part of gaming. But of course, everything is worse when it involves women. It's so terrible. Nothing bad can ever happen. It's like this bizarre fixation on like women should never be uncomfortable, should never feel any negative emotion, should never be put upon, should never have to deal with anything ever. Why? And if you want to put yourself out in the world, whether it's traveling, playing games, being in the corporate environment, it's like, yeah, you're gonna get shit on. Like, welcome to the world. It's rough and spiky, and like things are trying to kill you, and not everyone's your friend. Not everybody's nice. Some people want to win. Some people are malicious and mean and cruel. Put up or shut up is the actual fucking answer. So, you know, if you want to go out into the world, prepare to get fucking shit flung at your face. And you can either enjoy it and throw some shit back, or piss and moan endlessly. And I guess they're opting for pissing and moaning. But let's take a look at this video. So, of the 4,000 gamers surveyed by Sky Broadband, 49% report having been abused or harassed. Again, like 100% of dudes have been harassed and abused while playing online games. Who gives a shit? But let's take a look at this. Can we see
Gaming is big business, whether it's streaming or battling it out in literal stadiums. It's expected to be worth more than £279 billion by 2026.
But despite the virtual world being full of potential, it also has a darker side, with women saying the abuse they face there can leave them depressed and even suicidal.
Oh no!
Renata games every day and says the toxic culture is relentless.
One of the most annoying things is when they ask you where you live, where you're from, what's your Instagram, how old you are, if you want to come visit them to their home countries, and it's just a constant cycle of like, what's your Instagram, what's your Instagram?
Uh, we're gonna get onto that in a second because there's a reason a lot of guys ask for women's Instagrams in gaming. Like, spoilers, it's because a lot of women have Instagrams, and then they have other websites that span off of those Instagrams. So, not, you know, let's not excuse, like, creepy, weird behavior. Like, yes, and again, like, but I don't even give a shit. It's like, yes, there's fucking weirdos on the internet. There's, like, bizarre autists and perverts and pedos and all sorts. Like, you're connecting to the entirety of the rest of the world with people who have anonymity. They're anonymous. So of course they're going to act in bizarre and strange ways. Like even normal people like me act fucking bizarre online because it's fun and it's weird and it's different. So it's not to excuse certain behaviors, but it's like, again, what do you expect? You're entering like male-dominated spaces. A percentage of them are going to be weird. Again, like we also have to deal with them. When I'm playing Uno on my Xbox 360 with my Xbox iToy thingamajig back in 0607, do you know how many fucking guys flashed their dicks at me? Like 1,000. It was a fucking it was a carousel of cocks. It was horrible, but it was also extremely funny. It was part of the experience. Most people would just abuse each other on Uno, quite frankly. We didn't even play the game half the time. The AI, we'd abuse each other for so long and taunt each other for so long, the AI would just take over and play your hands for you. It was funny as shit. But it's like, hey, this is not a female exclusive issue. We all have to deal with this shit as well. Hey, I jump onto a server with a British accent. I go, hey, I'm bloody British. And that's what I get back. And we go, you want tea and crumpets? Or, you know, playing Rainbow Six Vegas 2 back in the day. Dominated by black Americans. So you would jump in and they'd be like, hey, yo, white boy, motherfucker. You'd get racially abused. You'd get sexually abused. You'd get, you know, nationally abused. Like, all sorts. We also deal with it. Do you see any campaigns for dealing with this problem for us? No, because it's just part of the ecosystem. We're fine with it. It's also, like, kind of funny. It's fun. It's a bit dangerous sometimes. It's weird. It's engaging. It's enraging. Like, you feel something. I really do think, like, women go hand in hand with this, like, hey, we need the status quo of the industry to just be bland, boring, equal. Like, that's what women want. That's why so many women in the industry push for this stuff, because they just want to... They just want things to be bland and normal and inoffensive and boring and safe. It sucks! It fucking sucks.
New research for Sky Broadband and Guild suggests the problem is systemic, with 3/4 of 18 to 24-year-old women having experienced abuse while gaming online. Over a third...
These are rookie numbers, guys. We got to pump these numbers up.
...receive violent messages.
Whoa!
A quarter say it leaves them depressed. More than 1 in 10 were left feeling suicidal.
Okay, but how... Okay, we live in a world as well where, like, everyone's fucking suicidal. I'm fucking suicidal, like, 11% of the time, right? I'm under a lot of pressure here. There's a lot of bad things going on. Dealt with a lot of issues. Like, feeling suicidal and committing suicide, two very different things in this world. A lot of people talk about feeling suicidal or feeling depressed all the time, and it's like, okay, well, you're gonna have to pick yourself up and deal with those issues and work through that shit yourself, and reliance of people. You know, maybe talk to a therapist. Most of that shit's absolute nonsense, but you're gonna have to deal with those things. But how many people have actually, like, how many people have been fucking harmed and killed themselves because somebody said something mean in a DM or said something racist over voice chat? 0% have done that. Nobody's done that. So again, it's to say, yes, if you go out in the world, go on a bus, go on a tram, someone's going to scream and hurl abuse at you. Go walk down a street in, like, any major city, Manchester, London, San Fran. There's fucking human shit on the floor. Trash, graffiti, people screaming weird things, people getting into fights, teens causing trouble at your local McDonald's. The world's an offensive, scary place where there's actual real threat. And you're going to have to just deal with all of that as well. And it's like, sorry, gaming and the online gaming space, it's no different. As Tyler, the Creator, once said, like, close your eyes, like, turn it off. If you don't like dealing with abusive voice chat, like, turn voice chat off. Find friends on Discord and play with them. Like, do something else. It's ridiculous. So, let's continue.
Actress Chloe Grace Moretz, who games for fun, thinks women aren't taken seriously enough.
The way that our minds work are just obviously wired a little different.
Yeah. The 1,000-yard stare of the male gamer. Shut up.
Than guys,
Please
so there's just
shut
a
up.
different kind of edge, which I think, you know, I would love it if it was kind of honed in on and supported more.
What is she saying?
Win.
Nobody said anything, you stupid.
Steffi Evans is a streamer who uses TikTok to highlight the misogyny she faces online.
If I could take it on a bigger scale, then it would be to get
Oh, so she makes money off of it. She benefits from this. She's turned it into, you know, that's pretty entrepreneurial. That's pretty smart.
them permanently banned or get the real life consequences. But there's only so much I can do.
Also taking action is Guild, an esports team backed by David Beckham, which competes online against other teams.
You lucky I don't know your address, otherwise I'd break you tonight.
It launched this immersive
Hang on. Hold up. They put you in a box and hurl abuse at you.
Also taking action is Guild, an esports team backed by David Beckham, which competes online against other teams.
You lucky I don't know your address, otherwise I'd break you tonight.
It launched this immersive campaign to highlight the abuse female players face.
If this was happening on
That's funny as shit. We talked about doing like a Mr. Beast style challenge. We might do this. We want to do like a Mr. Beast style challenge where we put women like in a room like that where they have to play online games. And the challenge is like, how long can these women gamers play while getting just the absolute nightmarish abuse hurled at them? Like the worst things ever. And it would be like, you've just got to keep playing for like 12, 24 hours straight. Like, they've stolen our idea. Fuck, they've already done it. This sucks.
a
God
football
damn.
pitch, you would have a ref that would like literally blow a whistle and send someone off. And so we can't keep watching these numbers keep happening and these women keep having this experience.
While the gaming
Why?
industry continues to grow, it seems progress is much slower, and real change is needed for this to no longer be a man's world. Claire Gregory, Sky News.
Wrong. It is a man's world. Sorry, sweetie. It's a man's fucking world. You want to find a place with loads of female gamers, go play, I don't know, like something like The Sims or Candy Crush. Sorry, these kind of games, notice all the things that they're showing on screen, like whatever the fuck this, you know, shooters, racing games, like tactical RTSs, like whatever. Sorry, it's a man's world. It's always going to be a man's world. And we need this shit. We need an outlet to be aggressive. Everybody's favorite memories of gaming in the past, like when you talk about Xbox Live and like the Halo 2 era, it's being in lobbies full of people talking and trash talking. That's what the game was sold on. Like Xbox, Microsoft themselves would sell it and like, hey, you can come in and trash talk and like, you know, grab your Doritos and your Mountain Dew and drop the N-bomb at a bunch of anonymous people all across the world. Like, they actively promoted this. They actively would celebrate and say, yes, this is great. Do you remember, what was it? The 360 profile system came with a, you could choose, like, what's your style of play. And one of them was, like, you know, Renegade or Underground. It was something where it's like, yeah, if you like trash talking and being, like, a hardcore gamer, this is the tag for you, and we'll pair you up with people like that. So it was acknowledged that this is part of the gaming ecosystem. But as per usual, we've got women and women allies coming in and going, no, 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 we need to not have this as a male-dominated space. We need to have this as friendly and egalitarian and nice, and nobody can swear and say anything mean at any points. And it's like, but it's 95% men. And we're getting on to the important point, a lot of the women in here are posers, and a decent number of them are grifters. So we'll get on to that in a second. Let's just round this off.
By the content of the story,
Oh,
please
shut up. Oh, Samaritans, fuck off. No one's killing themselves over getting called a nasty slur in a video game. Shut up. But it also linked to this article, and this lady also giving an interview on it. This is important. This is what I mean about, hey, a lot of girl gamers, as they're called, female gamers, as this lot calls them, they're in it for a very specific purpose, and it's not because they have a love of gaming. So let's just take a look at this.
To be honest, it is usually a lot when the female is just in the game.
female.
As soon as a female speaks, that's when the hate starts. Because guys, they hear a female and they're just like, oh my God, female. And then they just feel like they can say whatever they want to a female.
Also, very, very, you know, to put the shoe on the other foot for a second and be like, hey, they're the real sexists. It's like, listen at how they talk. They act as if all of us, what did she just say? The second that we hear a female voice in an online game, we'll, you know, immediately start hurling insults and make me a sandwich. And it's like, yeah, that does happen sometimes. I don't do that. Most of the people I know don't do that. If a girl is playing and she's really fucking annoying and won't shut up, or she's shit or whatever, it's like, yeah, of course I'm gonna hurl insults, because I do that if you're a guy. I do that if you're young, old, black, white, or green with purple spots. I'm a I'm a egalitarian asshole. Everybody gets the abuse. So apparently we're all just like mad, like cavemen brutes. Immediately we just want to like rape, kill, destroy. Second you hear a woman speaking, it's RKD mode. Absolute fucking nonsense. Sounds like the kind of thing that a grifter would say. Let's keep watching her.
Guys, they hear a female and they're just like, oh my god, female, and then
Female.
they just feel like they can say whatever they want to a female. It happens all the time, even
Like,
just playing for fun. There is constantly people just belittling you on games, online, through messaging, Instagram, social media, all of that. Gaming is definitely one of the worst ones, because I feel like a lot of people have the freedom to say what they want to say. Right now, it doesn't bother me at all.
They have the freedom to say what they want to say. So we need to when gaming is male dominated and pretty much only men, we have the freedom to say what we want to say, and nobody has a problem with that. Everybody puts up or shuts up. If you have a problem, you fucking log off. And what we're all encouraged to do is you hit back harder, because that actually builds up your character, and it's fun, and it's entertaining, and it's awesome. What happens when women flood into the industry and flood into gaming? Oh, now we don't have the freedom to say what we want. Now writing has to change, character design has to change, game design has to change, online lobbies have to change. Everything has to change to accommodate them, even though they are a fraction of the actual audience of people engaging in these products. And again, what did she say? She mentioned Instagram there. That's what the other lady mentioned. So this gets onto an important point, because I went and looked up who this lady is, Ashley Marie, because she mentioned Instagram. And just for a sec, you take a look at her visage. Let's just take a look. You look at the appearance. Doesn't that look like somebody who's going for the gamer girl look? Like purple hair, the cat, Neko ear, whatever you call them, like headphones. Going for a very generic gamer girl look, right? She mentioned Instagram. So we go here, immediately it's like, oh look, and she's tatted up. And it takes not very long to start getting into the pornographic kind of content. The very sexy, titillating imagery. Who knows if I'm even allowed to show this kind of stuff, so maybe I won't go any further. I don't even know if... No, I should be able to show this. So then I just searched, like, Ashley Marie OnlyFans, just to see what pops up, because there's no mention here. But then... Oh! There we go. She also has an OnlyFans, which you can subscribe to for $10 a month. There's money off subscription bundles. Now, that wasn't mentioned at any point. That wasn't mentioned. Interesting. So, to loop it back, why is it that you've got guys also being, harassing and saying mean things to some of these, genuine gamer girls? And it's like, they're sex workers, they're sex grifters. They're coming in and they are trying to get the attention of gamers who, there's a decent proportion of gamers who probably are in the incel category and are lonely and are looking for connection. Well, hey, here's this sexy gamer girl who wants to play Halo with you, and also you can check out her Instagram with titillating photos, and her DMs are open, and when you talk to her she says, hey, I have a, if you want to see anything else, you can go join my OnlyFans. So you start to realize, like, oh right, actually a lot of these people are complete fakes. This is a total fucking grift. And then putting out stuff like this is essentially saying, I want to be a sex worker, taking advantage of lonely gamers who are just looking to have fun, play with some people. I'm going to sexually take advantage of them and bilk them of their money. And if anybody has a problem with that, if anybody insults me, if anybody calls me a whore, if anybody points out that I look completely degenerate and what I'm doing is wrong, oh, well, I want them to not have the freedom to say that either. It's total, like, female supremacy. What did they say? They don't want it to be male-dominated. Well, what does it sound like they want it to be? Female-dominated. And female-dominated in a way where they can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, and you can't criticize them, whether it's just or unjust, whether you're being mean and nasty in a game for no reason, or being mean and nasty because, like, they fucking suck, or they're a whore that's trying to promote their OnlyFans. So, you know, it just, again, every single time this comes up, every single time we get this topic of women in gaming coming up, it takes very little. You scratch the surface and you see people taking consultancy fees to tell you that games need to be more female orientated, or you find Instagram OnlyFans whores trying to, you know, have their cake and eat it. Why are we accommodating these people anymore? Why are we continuing to bend over and ruining gaming as a process? It makes absolutely no sense to me. And it's purely, and you know, every time I do talk about this, I immediately get called a misogynist. And it's like, one bullshit term doesn't mean anything. It's just an insult. It's like a slur designed to put people down and to just stop them talking about things. So total bullshit. But no, I don't hate women. Do I have a problem with how a lot of women operate in our society? Of course. Also, I have a problem with how a lot of men behave, and old people and young people. I have a problem with a lot of fucking people, because we live in a very, very sick, fucked up society. And yes, I'm going to point out when you are doing something sick or disturbing or weird, because we need to stop it. And we need more people doing this. We need more people saying, actually, no, we're not about e-thoughts. We're not about OnlyFans. We're not about removing freedom of speech. We're not about shutting down dialogue and discourse and people having fun. We're not about changing games to become effeminate, estrogen-filled shit experiences. We're not about that. We're just not going to do that anymore because it blows. Why? What's my evidence for that? Well, like, gaming was great and was built off of the back of the polar opposite to all this stuff. And gaming now sucks. Games aren't fun. Online gaming is becoming less fun. I wonder if there's a correlation going on here. Of course there is. So the only way, as I said before, we're not looking at going into the past, we're looking to the future. But clearly there are lessons learned. Clearly there are things that we did in the past that we could start redoing today, and there are things that we are doing today which we should stop doing forever. And this is one of them. So, good grief. I don't even know, you know, we've come up in an hour. I don't even know if I want to cover the Gollum story. I mean, we'll hit it real quick. Real quick. This is just hilarious. As I said at the start of the show, this game comes out. We all know it's a disaster. We all knew it was going to be a disaster running up to it. It looks absolutely terrible. But for these guys to drop, I mean, what, like a day or two after the launch, we sincerely apologize for the underwhelming experience. We acknowledge and deeply regret that the game did not meet the expectations we set for ourselves or for our dedicated community. Please accept our sincere apologies for any disappointment this may have caused. Like, this is insane. This is crazy where they are at this point. And as our friend Dolan Dark Classic, you know, he's got this image of all the other apologies that have come out recently added to the collection. Saying the Redfall one, yeah. Oh, apparently Redfall didn't even apologize. Whatever. Yeah, it's as we're seeing in these comments, like, it's tiresome. We need to stop pre-purchasing, etc., etc. But it's like, there's a more important point here, I think. Like, yes, you can say, hey, this old tired point of stop pre-ordering games and, oh, this is disappointing, this has happened again. But it's like, do you not see that there's a normalization process taking place here? Do you not see that there's sort of, this is almost by design? And I'm not saying that anybody's setting out to intentionally make a bad game for the purposes of putting out, like, an apology. That's absurd. But it is to say that when you read this and how it ends with, you know, thank you for your support, sincerely, Daedalic Entertainment. You know, once again, we deeply apologize for any inconvenience. And the fact that we've got multiple studios doing this, it's, look, we want to do things cheap. We want to do things in an easy manner. We want to do things, hey, if we can't fire the studio to increase the profit margins, we'll just put in the least amount of effort. We'll shit it out, and then we'll use the profits from sales to maybe make it better. We'll do some patches, and maybe it improves, maybe it doesn't. This is the status quo that they are trying to create. This is the new normal that we are going to have to live under, where it will just be expected. You are expected to pre-order the game, play it, be immediately disappointed, read the apology, and then 6 months later there'll be a patch that, you know, brings the Steam reviews up from mostly negative to mixed, and that's meant to be a victory. You know, that side of things is very much intentional, that there is a laziness that is setting in and a rot that is setting into the industry, where it's like, they don't need to put the effort in, because who's going to compete? Nobody. I can't step up and say, well, Enemy Team is making a Lord of the Rings game, because we don't have access to the license. And there's no way in hell those people would ever give us access to the Lord of the Rings IP. We could have done a great job with Gollum. Would have probably liked the opportunity. maybe in the past. Now I'm totally against anything like that. I can't see us ever working on a licensed game. Don't quote me on that. Depends on the money. But I really can't see us doing this because it leads to you making subpar products with people, holding companies and whatnot, IP owners sat above you, making awful decisions on your behalf. And at any point, they can just crush you. You're under their thumb and they can kill you. But they want this to be how the industry works. They want things to be kind of mediocre and substandard, but with no competition. And those two things work hand in hand. Where is the competition for a game like this? Where is the competition for, just from these other titles like Cyberpunk, Halo Infinite? Who's making the Halo killer right now that's not part of the establishment? Who could possibly make a Cyberpunk style game without access to the resources that CD Projekt Red have? Nobody. Essentially nobody. Unless AI and AI tools and development ramps up considerably in the next couple of years, which it probably will, but until that point, there's no way any of us can compete as games developers and publishers with these products. And so this laziness, this slovenliness is expected. I don't see anybody in any of these conversations talking about how gaming has become monopolized. Because people think that a monopoly would be like, well, Sony runs everything and that'd be bad, That would be a monopoly. And it's like, no, a monopoly can actually be constructed of multiple different businesses, holding companies, publishers, developers. They're all generally singing from the same song sheet. They're all taking the same kinds of orders and going in the same kind of direction. And so it results in this kind of lazy... That's what happens when you have a monopoly. Things become lazy and substandard, and it doesn't matter how much you complain, piss, shit, and moan. Nobody can step up and make any kind of meaningful change within that system or come along as a competitor, because they'll just be crushed. They'll be kept outside the tent. They'll be denied funding. They'll be denied access to launch on whatever platforms needed to distribute, etc., etc. So I think that's the more important point is, again, it's easy to say, well, things were better in the past, and today it sucks that we've seen another one of these apologies, and hey, add it to the list. I don't really see anybody talking about, well, what does that mean trajectory-wise in terms of where we're going? And it is more of the same, but it's actually so much worse than that. But again, not to be too negative, I think there is an opportunity there for businesses like Enemy Team and others to stand up and start making a difference. And yeah, we're not going to be able to make a Lord of the Rings game. I can't make Lord of the Rings Gollum, but we could make something in the same sphere or something that essentially accomplishes the same goals, but does something new. And if anything, the silver lining there is that Lord of the Rings is obviously constrained as an IP. There's only a certain amount of things you can do with that license. Gollum has to behave a certain way. We could do a fantasy, hey, you play as this decrepit evil monster in a world full of dragons and knights. You're like a stupid fucking idiot wearing a loincloth, but you can sneak around. You have certain abilities. Well, we could do a game like that, but we're not constrained by that license. We're not constrained by a holding company or the, leadership of Daedalic Entertainment, who are lovely people, by the way. Like, we wouldn't have to deal with any of that. So again, to bring it back around to a previous point earlier in the show, if you're looking at getting into games or you're in games right now, do you think signing up at Daedalic, who have announced, by the way, just to take a look, like, despite the failure, Lord of the Rings Gollum developer working on another secret Lord of the Ring game codenamed It's Magic. Cool, so they can work on a bad game, release a bad game, apologize for it, and yet they still get to work on another Lord of the Rings game. I'm not going to say it's bad, but it might be bad, probably will be. Just taking the heads off. Can barely hear myself. So, is that what you want to be doing in games? Is that what you want your career to be? Hopping from business to business, working on these legacy IPs under these massive holding companies where you have no real creative control, and even if you fail, you're just forced to continue churning out the same crap? Or would it make sense to say, look, it's time to leave Lord of the Rings behind. We've had our fun with that. We don't need to keep making Star Wars and Lord of the Rings type content. Do we want fantasy and sci-fi experiences and shooters and knights and magic and whatever? Like, of course. It's now time to start making new stuff. These people will not invest in you. They don't want new. They want dependable. They want to sell washing machines and toothbrushes. It just so happens they're in games. So they're turning games into these repeatable factory kind of chain production products. They're not if you come along with a bold, brand new idea, they're not going to be interested in it because that's risky. They're not even interested in supporting Antimatter making a sequel to a popular game from 20 years ago, a legacy IP. They're not even interested in doing that. They started it and then went, we'll just fire them. We'll just shut it down. So it's time to start thinking about the future. It's time to start saying, yes, we expect, and we are not going to be demotivated by the fact that we expect the next Lord of the Rings game to suck. We expect upcoming naughty free events to be boring and uninspiring. This is all expected shit. Let's start investing, let's start focusing, and let's start finding people who do have that creative vision, who do have the passion, who do have that massive, that ability to take a massive risk profile, and let's start supporting them. Let's start foghorning them. Let's start promoting them. Starting with Enemy Team, of course. That's what we're doing here. That's what I want to build at this business. It's not just a game studio. It's not just content. I want to really create a movement, a change in mindset that is positive towards the future, that acknowledges all of these bad things happening today, but says we can make a difference. We have all the tools available. We can do something different. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Do have a comment. What is this? Neil from Mars asking, I missed this. I mean, I don't really, as you can tell, I don't read the chat while I'm... Honestly, I'd rather this be a super chat. We need to get super chats set up. I don't really want to, like, read comments. I'm not going to have comments sprinting across the screen. Maybe if we do, like, gaming streams or, like, a chill stream, but, like, I just don't, you know, that's just not my thing. But I'll answer your question, Neil, if you're still about. So, what's your feeling on GTA 6? Considering GTA 5 is 10 years old and has one of the most outdated peer-to-peer servers, should we expect a more secure GTA Online this time? I mean, you'd hope so. Yes, of course it will be better quality. Well, I say that. Times have changed. Technology has improved. You would expect the next GTA to be better than the previous. But Rockstar and Take-Two, you know, are no different. They are part of the same ecosystem that I've been talking about. They have essentially no pressure. There is no competition. There is no GTA killer that's coming about anytime soon. So I could only speculate, and it would be pretty pointless speculation. I don't know how it's going to go. From the leaks we've seen, it doesn't seem like a particularly interesting game. It doesn't really look like it's rocking the boat that much, and potentially is still running on some of the same underlying technology that previous GTA games worked on. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I already get the feel, like, my feeling is, I've never really been a big fan of GTA games, honestly. I think they're mid as fuck, including GTA 5. Yes, there are technically impressive elements to it, but I've never been blown away by a GTA game since GTA 3. So my personal opinion is, like, I really don't give a shit. Oh, my hair's all fucked. I always do that. I fuck my hair up in the middle of a stream, and I never look at my own camera. I mean, I'm sat here with, like, poofy bits just stuck out like that. And it's awful and disgusting. But anyway, yeah, so it remains to be seen. You'd hope it would be better, but I don't care. Like, I just don't give a shit. It's probably gonna be shit. And it will be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. It's just gonna be more fucking GTA with more shit lock-on style combat and crap fucking, like, at this point, like, yeah, Gen X, like, maybe a bit of millennial, but this whole, like, Gen X, like, super sarcastic humor, like, okay, it was funny for a little bit, but it's been, like, 25 fucking years of this stuff. It's so boring and outdated. And hey, open world where it tells you exactly what to do whenever they tell, you know, just, it's a linear game in an open world sandbox. I've never been impressed by it. Again, it was impressive when it was GTA 3 because it was new, it was different. But that was literally like 20 plus years ago. I just don't give a shit. So hopefully that answers your question. I don't know if it does, but I think we're going to wrap it up there. One thing I'll say just to wrap this up is there is a meta event. There's a meta showcase tomorrow at 6 p.m. I think it actually starts. There's a pre-show at 5:45. So we'll be online tomorrow, Thursday, 1st of June at about 5:45 BST. I don't know what time that is for the Americans, but we'll be on then covering the Meta Showcase live, doing a reaction to that. And that's ahead of next week where we'll be doing a lot more reactions. Summer Games Fest is coming, Future Game Show. But yeah, make sure you check us out tomorrow. 5:45 p.m. BST. We'll be online, looking at the future of VR, looking at what Zuckerberg's got up his sleeves. Can't imagine it's going to be any good. Hopefully it'll be funny. But this has been the Enemy Stream. Make sure you like, favorites, and subscribe. You can find us anywhere at Enemy Team Games on YouTube, Twitch, etc., where you can find this episode, clips, games development footage. So make sure you check us out there. Make sure you watch the Meta Showcase tomorrow, and we'll also be back with another Enemy Stream on Friday. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.